Hi, I'm Ken Jeong, and this is my last meal.
Every person has exactly two things in common. We all gotta eat and we're all gonna die. Today's guest is a comedian who you might recognize from The Hangover, Knocked Up, and Community. You can catch him on Fox hosting the new game show 99 to Beat, and he once led Page High School to 2 consecutive high IQ Quiz Bowl championships. Dr. Ken Jeong, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. And thank you for including that last credit per my insistence.
Yeah,
He didn't want to do it, but I made him.
He's also making me say this. So the 1990s had the Chicago Bulls. The 1980s, Ken, they had Grimsley High School. Now, Grimsley won 7 out of 10 Quiz Bowl championships in the 80s. How did it feel to beat them not once, but twice?
To be fair, I was only really an instrumental player, I believe, in the one my junior year, the High IQ Bowl, my junior year. I was not, unfortunately, in the senior year of High IQ Bowl, where Paige did win the championship, and deservedly so, because I had a groin injury.
He sacrifices for his team.
Yeah,
That's
I
incredible.
pulled my groin. Yeah, which is why I couldn't do any more math, because best math quiz bowl thinking comes from the groin. It's a medical fact. Trust me, I'm a doctor-ish.
He sure is.
Yep.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank
This is
you.
incredible.
Are you kidding? Thank you for having me.
Of course. Have you thought about your last meal before?
No, I haven't. I've been fortunate to be blessed with good genes, I guess. Like my dad, he's 95 years young and kicking, and he really never talks about his last meal. You know, we never have that discussion. But like I just saw him last week, and he is the kind of guy that will savor every, it's like there is something to be said about just kind of savoring every moment. I'm unfortunately kind of the eat and run guy. I'm like that eat and go guy, probably from my days in med school and being a doctor, and also just being on set.
How often do you think about death in general?
I do think as a kid, and I think even in med school, this was always on my mind when I was a resident, when you're literally dealing with death and dying, when I was practicing. And that's the first time anyone's asked me that, like since me kind of being in entertainment full time. I really don't. Maybe because the way show business is, and you're almost forced to have a Zen-like kind of mentality of just kind of being in the moment, because if you're not in the moment, the business will kind of force you to be. So in many ways, I'm in a field right now that's completely antithetical from the field that I was in before. And in many ways, for me, you're literally just thinking about what you're doing now. And in many ways, that's clarifying.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, you ready to eat?
Yep, absolutely.
Ken, for the first course of your final meal on Earth, we have the crispy shiitake salad from Nobu right here, a little bit of vinaigrette on the fresh spring greens, and then of course we have the yellowtail with jalapeno, a classic dish invented at Nobu, a little bit of ponzu and cilantro in the middle, and then Coke Zero or Coke? This is Coke Zero?
Coke Zero.
Coke Zero, that's what
Easy mistake. A lot of people say Coke, but it's too close to the other thing.
That makes sense.
Coke
Yeah.
Zero. Yes.
And Coke Zero, please dig in. Can I serve you up some salad?
That would be outstanding. Thank you so much. This is a shout out to my wife Tran, who I believe we're at a Nobu in Hawaii, in Lanai, and I believe that our waiter recommended this every time we get the crispy shiitake mushroom salad, because this is just like bacon.
Yeah.
It's just like bacon.
I've never had this. I'm stoked.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. Bon appetit. Incredible.
That was wonderful. The first time you went to Nobu, was that before or after you'd gotten famous? Because it's become known as like the celebrity hotspot.
I am so glad you brought that up, because we are legitimate Nobu fans from the fact that back when the day, it was in a shopping center. This is like 20 years ago near Malibu Mart, okay? Yeah. So there was no view, only sushi. You know what I mean? It was like that. So we have been, back when Tran and I, my wife Tran, we're both practicing medicine full time. We just to reward ourselves, we like, do we have enough money in our paychecks to go to Nobu? We worked at Kaiser, so the answer was no. But we would go there, and it was just the best sushi. Even before we got married, we would go to Nobu. So to us, it's more than celebrity hotspot. It's best sushi, best sushi in town.
Tell me about the Coke Zero, because there are a lot of Diet Coke diehards that end up on this show. What's your pitch for why Coke Zero is a superior product?
My pitch is, do the
cheers.
Cheers. my pitch is that this tastes just like regular Coke. It's closer in taste to classic Coke Zero, although I am not, averse at all to Diet Coke if it's on set. I'll always ask for a Coke Zero. In fact, when I'm greedy, I will always ask for cherry Coke Zero. And if there's any truth in advertising, I have done a lot of advertising over the past 13 years with specifically Coke Zero.
I think I have seen an Instagram photo of you caressing a 12-pack of cherry Coke Zero as a baby as well.
Yes. Shout out to my brother-in-law, I believe, who took a photo of that at Christmas. Because my brother-in-law, he probably thought it was a joke gift. He just gave me half a case of cherry Coke Zero, and I caressed it like it was a baby. And I was so happy. I did not need anything else. I'm not even kidding. That's all I wanted.
Please dig into the Koreatown, whatever you want. I think I'm just gonna go straight off the plate here.
Shout out to Nobu. And from a legitimate fan. We're not a fair weather fan. It's kind of like saying, oh, I like Hootie and the Blowfish. No, I saw them when they're at Tipitina's before they got famous.
It's just flexing all over the place right now.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
This is like Hootie's Nobu, right? But that's never been said before in Last Meals.
Certainly not.
Hootie and the Blowfish and Nobu? I think not. But I found the connective tissue because I'm a doctor and I'm smart.
Speaking of which, I feel like there's this urban legend about your career that you were the Apatow's family doctor, and that's what got you cast in Knocked Up? Which is not close to true at all. Do you know how that happened?
Community creator Dan Harmon thought that, and I think that's kind of why I got the Community job. And I don't think even Judd and Leslie know this, but he thought that I was the Apatow family physician, and I was not. No, I was just a doctor who had a pipe dream to be an actor, who auditioned several times for Knocked Up, and I got incredibly lucky, and Judd blessed me in his movie and gave me a career. So the story is way more humble than me being some sort of weird medical Nepo baby.
No, but also you've been doing stand-up since the mid-90s, including doing night shows at the Improv.
Yeah.
While you weren't doing open mics while also working as a physician during the day, you were doing real stand-up comedy for a long time.
I got my start doing open mics when I was in med school in North Carolina. And then once I did my residency in New Orleans, and I was doing open mics there, coffee houses, just anything I could do. In New Orleans, I won a stand-up comedy contest that was judged by the late Brandon Tartikoff, former Paramount chairman, and also the late Bud Friedman, founder of the Improv comedy chain. And I was very fortunate to have won that comedy competition almost 30 years ago. And it was crazy, and the winner got to perform in Hollywood at the Melrose Improv here in Hollywood, and I got to do 2 shows, and it in many ways that kind of kicked it off. It gave me kind of the confidence to pursue comedy and stand up and acting. I'd done acting at Duke prior to doing stand up, but one of the reasons I was doing stand up is because I couldn't do theater when I was in med school. I always had this itch to perform. And I really think it just started me on this trajectory. So I owe a lot to just to my comedy roots in New Orleans. That led to me being a regular at the Improv and the Laugh Factory. And
once you started booking roles, I know you said that it was just your goal to be a working character actor, and you've certainly gotten a lot of those roles, and you've played the hell out of those roles. Yeah. My number one favorite comedy of all time, the one that I'm going to show my grandchildren, is Role Models.
I love you for that.
My guy.
Dude, thank you. Thank you.
For real, and no, specifically, so many of the choices that you make, also like Jolo Truglio, Matt Walsh, in that movie, there's specifically a scene in The Burger Hole that I think a thing that you do where you're like the king of your own little fiefdom, and then the server comes by, goes, coffee? Oh, no, decaf, thank you. And then just go back to shitting on Paul Rudd immediately. It's those moments that absolutely make the movie. Are there character actors that you looked at the time and you were like, I want to be that person makes the movie?
I worked with a private acting coach at that time, and she really helped me kind of shape that role of King Argatron, and I was so immersed in the role, I ended up just going to these live action role-playing events in Malibu. I would just do research, and I would read books, watch documentaries. It's somewhere on the DVD, David Wayne said, do you think he was De Niro just researching the role? Because I had no knowledge of LARPing. I knew nothing of that world, and it was the first role. I had gotten that wasn't based either on ethnicity or being a physician.
Yeah.
Technically, I think it was my first offer for a role, so I didn't. They just thought of me for that. I just felt this obligation just to prove that I was good enough to be in the role. I just worked my ass off just reading every bit of literature. Like it's the most I probably have prepared for a
Like
role.
you're doing Les Miserables, reading
Yes.
the dramaturgy.
Yes, it was crazy, and they had the live action role playing like advisor. I made like good friends with her. I would talk to her all the time. It was really just trying to get. And by the time I knew so much LARP speak, I started improvising in it. Like there was, I do remember when I think I made him. I think that was like an improv. We were to make him kiss the ring or something, and then the finger went up his nose. And as a shout out to the editors, because we all cracked up after that. We didn't know what we were doing, and then so from the cutout right after, just I was thinking to myself, there's no way that take is salvageable. And we only did it once, and there it is, like cinematic magic.
Do you remember any scenes that hit the cutting room floor from that? Because I think I've seen at least one outtake where you're in the burger hole and you just look at a nice family and you just go, "Shut the f*** up," and then immediately go right back.
Man, I was so aggressive with my ad-libs back then. It was, I think I'm improvising at that time, but just all out of sheer anxiety.
Yeah.
Just trying to get a laugh, just doing everything I can, just to fight my imposter syndrome. But I do remember there was an elderly lady that had probably coughed. It was probably something that was completely like benign. I barely heard it, and I just like a mountain lion just roared all over, "Shut the f*** up! Oh my God!" And then I just in character. But people would be surprised when director yells cut. Like I am the type of person, but like to that lady or whatever, I will go, "Oh my God, are you okay? Is that okay?" Like it's almost like there's that duality. It's exactly like the role model thing where I'm like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." There is some reality to that.
You've lived so many lives career-wise, from being a doctor, stand-up, being on your own sitcom that you EP'd, movie star. What is it that's creatively fulfilling about hosting now on Fox, and what are you excited for with 99 to Beat?
These are 100 people. They are pitted against each other in a series of challenges where the only mantra is just don't finish last. And you want to survive every challenge until it gets whittled down to one, and the grand prize is $1 million. To me, it was Survivor, kind of in a soundstage full of challenges and games. And the 100 contestants, and none of them knew it was gonna be for $1 million. Originally, it was supposed to be for 100,000.
No way.
So we're all on set. The very first thing we say in this 100 people around, they're just happy to be, on television. This will be seen. And by the way, shout out to Erin Andrews, my co-host, who really gets me through it, because you really need like a broadcaster of intense competitions like the NFL, and who better than Erin Andrews, the best NFL sideline reporter in the business, easily the most talented person I've ever worked with on Fox. Right, Joel McHale? Right, Joel McHale? Right, Joel McHale?
We have no beef with Joel. This is if you want to come on, but I mean, he might have ruined it for you.
And Erin is just so great. She's
Oh my gosh, she seems wonderful.
She's so wonderful.
Yeah,
just
yeah.
easy to work with. She's great.
Joel played football.
Yeah, as a walk-on.
as a walk-on.
It's like, no, a scholarship guy.
That makes sense, yeah.
My God, get him on the show. Just so, Rick, when it goes, you are a walk-on. You walked onto a field. I walked onto a field. Big whoop. Oh my God. I thought we could do a podcast or a show without talking about Joel McHale.
Ready to go into course number 2?
Yeah, it'll be
that
great.
sounds
Oh my
fun.
God.
Ken, for course number 2, we have the Karibi Chumuluk from Chosun Karibi over here, with all of the panchan, and of course a large mountain of kimchi cooked fresh at the table by your chef. And then we have the tosot bibimbap with the fresh cracked egg on it, the bulgogi, all of the vegetables, and then of course the Miller Mie.
It's not Mie. It's not Mie Latte. It's Miller Light. It's apparently for strong men only, because I can't open it.
Got
Yeah.
it. There we
Oh,
go.
yeah.
You want some help, Ken?
Yeah, I need a real man
Yeah,
to open
let's
it.
go.
Josh? Thank you.
That's all right,
White collar hands. White collar hands.
Yeah, a little bit of hammer throwing.
Oh my God. Graduated in bragging at UCLA? Okay.
Dropped out in bragging.
Dropped out of humility and just moved jeté to bragging. Okay. Dude. Cheers, my friend.
Korean barbecue in high school.
God. I know. And
combo.
excellent pronunciation too. Excellent.
I tried. We were actually waiting to see how you pronounced everything, so then I could copy.
Yeah, watch me pronounce it all wrong.
actually-
It's Dolsop Bibimbap and Kalbi Jumaluk and Kim Chai. Yeah,
Should I start cooking up this the carby?
please.
All right, a little bit of oil going in here. What was it like the first time you went to Chosun Karbi? Because I imagine Greensboro, North Carolina did not have the Korean barbecue scene that Los Angeles does.
No, it did not. But shout out to my parents. My mom made the best kalbi ever, but it did blow my mind moving out to LA, going into Koreatown. And much like Nobu, Chosun Galbi, it was in another location previous to his current location. I was there, back then when it was like a very, very small restaurant. And I believe on the week of our wedding, where we had, I'm Korean, my wife's Vietnamese, but during that week, we had the best dinner ever at Chosun Galbi with, both families. And so whenever I think of Chosun Galbi, I think of that dinner that we had. And with the dolsop bibimbap, this is a staple of my childhood. This is just a Korean mixed dish with rice, vegetables, protein. And this is, I think it's bulgogi, and topped it off in a stone pot, with this egg. If you had asked me of all these meals, which would be the last meal, on a personal level, this would be this. This would be the last meal of last meal. Every time I eat it, it just brings me back to childhood, man.
Yeah.
It just my favorite times ever.
You executive produced a movie called K-Town Cowboys. It's about a crazy night out in Koreatown. Have you had any crazy nights out in Koreatown that, well, I guess you wouldn't exactly remember it, but that stand out in your life?
Well, I've had some karaoke nights where it gets pretty wild. Because if I go to K-Town, it's really about the nutty bong or even just doing karaoke, especially back in the day. But I got to give a shout out to K-Town Cowboys because Danny Cho, who created it, was a web series. It was like 15 years ago before there was a web series.
Yeah.
And my wife and I were just huge fans of this web series. And then when he decided to adapt this into a full-length feature film, I was like, I will, if you need any help, just put my name on it as an EP. I just was a fan of what they did and it wasn't just me, it was also Daniel Dae Kim. We're both, I believe, executive producers on it. So, in many ways, that show was a precursor of what's to come, like Beef and some of these amazing shows, Korean American based shows. So I think K-Town Cowboys was one of the first. And if anyone, I believe it's still on YouTube. If you don't watch the movie, watch the series on YouTube. It's just outstanding. It just takes you there. There's a lot of this and there's a lot of that. It really is amazing.
What has it been like to see the rise in so much Korean culture over, let's say, the last 20 years? Because even you have the big K-pop boom, then even for me, it was like Roy Choi with the Kogi truck in 2008 was such a massive moment.
K-Town Cowboys, when you're talking about even like K-pop Demon Hunters right now is just...
Number one movie of all time on Netflix.
Number one movie of all time on Netflix. To me, there's something distinct about, I think, Korean culture, Korean American culture that is inherently emotional, moving, and passionate. And I think that shows like Beef, it's a very emotional show.
Yep.
And I think that, to me, lends itself to great art.
Yeah.
And I think there is a commonality of wearing your emotions at your sleeve into your art. And I think, to me, I'm not surprised at all. And I think it's here to stay. Oh man, I love Kamyeong.
It's just the right amount of chew, that fattiness, Doc, jeez. I've heard you say in your words that you got Koreaned out of pursuing acting, maybe by your dad, but maybe by yourself. What exactly does that mean?
It was a bit of both. I mean, keep in mind, I was in college, late 80s, and there was no one that looked like me, in the business, maybe except for Pat Morita. And I took my first acting class at Duke, sophomore year, spring semester, fell in love with it, and had not done any acting prior to. There was this mock male beauty pageant that I've talked about in high school that was kind of a popular nerd. And I had my Napoleon Dynamite moment. I did some improv and I played some music, and needless to say, it was just this kind of wow, maybe I could perform. And so that informed me for my first acting class. I just really, in many ways, my only formal acting class. Just fell in love with it. I just leaned into that, and I got accepted into the Duke Drama School. I actually auditioned for it, their theater department, and I got in. But the catch was, I was pre-med at the time, and my A in organic chemistry went to a C minus. And so I had to make a choice. It still was the hardest decision I've ever had to make, at that point. To stay in medicine wasn't just, I think I say it for a soundbite, like, yeah, my dad was like Korean me into staying in medicine, but I was Koreaning myself, in many ways, because firstborn son, wasn't there on scholarship, not wealthy by any means. I was like, there is an obligation for me and my own path to finish what I started. But it was really hard, and it was really difficult. And I remember like to give up doing drama and to tell them, almost tearfully, like I can't do this, it broke my heart in so many ways. And it's so funny, even to this day, I still feel that. And honestly, and I say this not only to my own kids, but just kids in general, I never want any student or any kid to feel obligated in life. Yeah. I do work with Duke Arts, and I will talk to students who are into the arts, but they're double majoring, comp sci and biomedical engineering, and I'm just saying, if they really want to do something in the arts, well, find art in whatever you're doing. I'm not saying you have to quit your job or quit your major or disappoint your parents or anything like that, but find art in whatever you're doing.
I believe your wife Tran once told you that she knew she married someone with the soul of a comedian and an actor, not the soul of a doctor. Did you see that same thing in yourself, or did it take her to point that out to you?
I recognize it myself, but she was the first one. She was the first one to recognize that in me, outside of myself. On our first date, she saw me perform at the Ice House in Pasadena.
On your first date?
Yeah, it wasn't really a date, but I kind of manipulated it into kind of being a date. Like, I invited a group of doctor friends that I knew would flake out, that would come to the show at the Ice House I was performing at. So it just invariably ended up being me and Tran. And knowing that kind of ahead of time, I was like, oh, hey, why don't I hear, maybe we can go get some sushi, and then hanging out just becomes like a date, kind of just de facto date. And then all of a sudden, I'm performing in the Ice House where I knew I would kill because it was a good crowd. It was a Tuesday night, and I remember doing really well. And I would like ask one of my friends who was there, was Tran laughing? I'm like that guy. And my Fraser's like, yeah, of course. No, was she really laughing, bro? Like I was that insecure about it. And then, and Tran just had the best sense of humor. She got all my jokes. If anything, I think what drew us was this love of comedy. We both like to laugh. And I think she was the first person that made me laugh all the time. And that exists to this day. I mean, it's just about having a sense of humor about life. And whatever I've done, whatever phase I've been, whether as a doctor, whether it was a comedian, actor, to be able to have a perspective, have a partner that can make you laugh in the middle of all the highs and lows is priceless. And so I think that, she was the first to recognize I'm, a comedian at heart, but to this day, we just love to laugh. Absolutely. I remember going to a Will Ferrell movie, just a premiere, and I wasn't in it, and we were watching, and me and Tran laughed so hard. And I remember the studio executive came back to us, can you come to all of Will's movies? Because it was like a date night. We just wanted to just watch a movie, and we could not stop laughing. They're like, you're amazing. And pointing to both of them, you're amazing. I'm gonna invite you to all the premieres. So we're really good laughers. So incredible. Absolutely.
Ready to go on to course number 3?
Yes.
Let's do it. Ken, for course number 3, we have the garlic noodles from Crustacean in Beverly Hills, and then we have the corn tempura from Yume Sushi Bar. Can I serve you up some noodles?
Please do. This is a shout out to our dear family friend, Chef Helene Ahn, who invented garlic noodles. Like when Tran and I were starting to date, that was like the first restaurant that we went to, together. It was Crustacean in Beverly Hills, and for the Ahn family to kind of have me in their fold, and this was way before the Hangover. This is over 20 years ago.
No way.
They were it's funny, as my career was rising, they couldn't, I just remember they were like the Vietnamese family that knew everybody in town. They know everybody. And for them to, as my career has has gone and evolved, they're just so supportive as they're like extended family members, you know.
I'm legitimately geeked out that you just name dropped Helene on.
Yeah.
Because I think San Francisco 1974, this dish was invented.
Boom!
The restaurant was called Tan Long at the time.
See, I ain't lying.
No, that was
I thought I was an idiot. Probably you guys watching YouTube, we don't know what you're talking about. I do, Joel McHale. I know what I'm talking about. I'm not dumb.
I've been calling him Joe McHale the whole time. It's Joel?
It doesn't matter what you call him because only relevant people need to have the L in their first name pronounced. But again, noodles. Can't believe we had to mention Joel McHale again. So good. So good. And the fact that you know, I didn't mean to interrupt you, the fact that you know the history of garlic noodles. I mean, I want the On family to see this. This is right here.
And I'm just glad there's finally some Vietnamese representation on this table. You've been talking about Tran. You put a lot of Vietnamese inside jokes into The Hangover. Why did you decide to do that?
You know, there is a story behind that. Tran was diagnosed with breast cancer at the time, going through chemo, and still cancer-free right now after, I believe, 17 years, still cancer-free. And I believe I turned down the part of Mr. Chow. I was really wrestling whether to do it or not. And it was a shout out to Tran and also her mother. They were like, you know, it's only a couple of days. I was only on set like maybe 2 or 3 days in Vegas, and she was responding to the chemotherapy. Her tumor markers had normalized. I remember asking Tran, I think before I left, was, you know, going over the lines of dialogue. I just said, what if I just speak Vietnamese? Like, they won't know. You know, I was like, I'll just speak Vietnamese. And it was never really established a nationality, Chow was, so we're just having fun with it. There were so many comedy movies coming out. It was a golden age of R-rated comedy movies. We did not know The Hangover would be The Hangover. I think my favorite moment was, I think when we're releasing Mike Epps, who played Black Dog, it was like, I think my character just, none of us in the script, I'm like, got chick, you know, and it doesn't, but you had the cadence of like release the prisoner or whatever, but but in Vietnamese it means chicken die. I don't know why it came up with that, and Tran would like give me just a few like Vietnamese words, and it would just be it was really just to make her laugh. And it was just inside jokes to make her laugh, and I would say it, I would repeat a lot of the Vietnamese words over and over. I was really determined, without telling anyone, to try to have some of these words make it in the edit. But the gut chick makes me laugh every single time I see The Hangover and that scene. In many ways, that movie was kind of complicated because it was an emotional time and it was a cathartic time. It reminds me is that, you know, life is short, you got to go for it. And there's an outtake on the Blu-ray DVD where it's just 10 minutes just improvising in the desert. It wasn't great classically trained improv. It wasn't great, like, you know, it wasn't fluid it was just guttural. It was like punk rock improv, for lack of a better word. And I was just angry. It was angry improv. I was just, in many ways, as Chow, just kind of screaming, you know, at the gods who had, or the demons who had cursed, you know, Tran with cancer. So to me, it was really just kind of getting that all out. And then it was like a 10-minute rant. And then you see me, true to form, the moment Todd yells cut, I'm like, was that okay? Was that okay? Like, it was really, a lot of people will say, you know, I say it all the time, I wouldn't be here without The Hangover. But I don't think we would have our family happiness and the livelihood that we live and kind of the, even behind the scenes, just the life that we have in many ways for The Hangover.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Can I offer you some corn tempura?
This
segue.
We'll be back with KOS, the king of segues, after this. This is just a new meal I discovered. I love corn tempura so much. I had this 2 days ago at Yume.
I've never had this, man. Please.
Oh my
Dig
God.
in. This is new for me.
It's so good.
It kind of looks like something I used to eat at the Sizzler buffet, though. Does anyone remember the corn fritters at the Sizzler buffet?
It's a fritter. It's a fancy fritter. It's a fancy fritter. You know. It's so relatable. It's universal. You know.
Taking segues back at it again. Yeah. For all, I believe the cancer that Tran had was triple negative stage 3, right?
Yes.
Which I think you said it was a 23% chance of survival.
Yep.
Do you think that both of you being doctors, did that make the numbers heavier or lighter? And do you have any advice for people who are like going through cancer right now, whether it's them or a family member?
Knowledge is power.
Yeah.
Knowledge is power. The more you know, the less excessively emotional you have the potential to be. You know, I think knowing what we knew, and we had a great oncologist who coincidentally, I don't think I've ever said this before, coincidentally, his name was Dr. Chow, and CHOU. So yes, knowledge is power, but I remember our oncologist who was Chinese, he had the first dose of chemo on 8's a lucky number, 80, and so 88, so it was on August 8th. It was August 8th, 2008. So it was like that was the dose of the chemo. So a little bit of everything, I suppose.
Yeah. That's beautiful. There's a moment at the MTV Movie Awards where you give a really beautiful speech that starts with, "Me and my penis would like to thank MTV," and then "My wife is 2 years cancer free, and I've learned that life is short." First time that's ever been said.
I guess I'm the king of segues now. I mean,
I learned from the best.
You learn from the best.
Yeah. But no, truly, like, what is, I mean, your wife's strength? I mean, how much did that take to tell you to leave and go do the Hangover because you were suffering from burnout? I mean, how much do you draw that?
Well, I wouldn't have done it if she,
if.
And a shout out to Trans Mom as well. Both of them were urging me. And literally, I wasn't on set on the first movie, if anything at all. So it's funny, by the second and third movies, I remember Tran came with me to Thailand. For me, it was joyous because I was able to spend time with Tran on a Hangover movie. We just toured all of Thailand and just had a blast for a month. So it's funny, whenever I think about the Hangover, I think equally of those moments, and with Tran specifically. And so I always say, like, the first Hangover is like the weirdest love letter you could send. And not many people knew about it at that time. And then, until I got the MTV award, I think I was doing a sketch with Ed Helms on that award show. I don't think even Ed knew. So I think only Bradley knew and Todd knew. And so, because Bradley I'd done a movie with prior to. And in fact, Bradley drove me from Vegas to Calabasas to see Tran, the final day of filming. So there was a lot of support, but I just remember, I don't think I've even said this, but I remember, like, Ed just giving me the biggest hug for, like, Silent for, like, the longest time. So yeah,
it's incredible.
I don't think I've even thought about it since then. But it was very, very magical on so many levels, on screen and off.
Yeah.
So
ready to go on to dessert?
Yes, absolutely.
Again, for the final course, the final meal on Earth, we have the whole red velvet cake from Susie Cakes. Can I cut you a piece?
Yes, please. Thank you.
I'm giving you a big piece, man.
That's fine. I'll take it. It's my favorite cake. There's no rhyme or reason behind this. It's just like, ever since I've been with Tran, like, all my birthday cakes were red velvet. And I was like, this is great. And she goes, you want red velvet again? Yes. And it was like, as simple as that. I've never said no to a red velvet cake. And that's,
why would you?
Really? And why would I? I'm a simple man with simple taste.
I want to ask, how'd you kept comedy as your hobby? I know you said you used to do open mics to, like, relieve stress during med school. Do you think that was only because that comedy was a hobby at the time and it wasn't your biggest stressor? Do you think had you left comedy as just a hobby and continued as a medical doctor, you'd be anywhere close to as happy as you are now?
There is a world, I think about that a lot. I honestly, I would just still do stand-up on the side. I literally thought, okay, if this doesn't take, I can still do the Laugh Factory, I can still do the improv. I had connections there even as a physician. I can do that the rest of my life. Because I do, at the end of the day, love comedy. And putting a button on this, I was hanging out with Joel McHale.
Joe McHale.
And I was doing a scene with him on Animal Control, one of his many shows on Fox, although I have many shows on Fox.
I mean, I watched Ken's
99
Days.
to Beat, Ken's Days. But I was with him on Animal Control, but you're not going to put this on camera, right? You're not going to put this on camera.
These aren't even on.
No, good. We're best friends, and I love him dearly, like a brother. The past episode we did, it reminded me of Community Days. It was like I was playing my character so close to Senior Chang, and I just had this flashback of just so much fun, and he was almost like Jeff Winger again. I was Senior Chang. We're just kind of going off script, just having fun. We're performing for ourselves.
Yeah.
And we hung out afterwards, and I was like, I need more of this in my life. It's like, what? It's like just the joy of just comedy, just doing it. Doesn't matter if people see this or if no one sees it.
Oh, it seems like you genuinely find, like, a deeper spiritual meaning in that connection over laughter, which I think is very reasonable.
Yes.
Right? I mean, do you think that is maybe the key or purpose to life? Have you figured that part out yet?
if my goal is to laugh more than I frown, then I am an unqualified success, because at the end of the day, no amount of money and fame, it can't necessarily make you laugh more than you frown, you know? No, it's just, I'm very blessed to have someone like Tran that can see the lighter side of things. I think that helps me as a comedian, because comedians are, you know, we, myself included, we can, you know, off stage, we can be really dark and not laugh at all, you know? And so
the saddest people I've ever known are comedians. It's incredible.
Exactly. And I think because of Tran, I've avoided those trappings. And then Red Velvet, yes!
I'm gonna bring it back to one more earnest thing, because I heard you say about dealing with patients that to cure is rare, to heal is seldom, but to comfort is always.
Yeah.
And I mean, you kind of went from the comfort business to the comfort business in a certain way, because role models, for instance, that's my sick movie, that's my sad movie, that's my, for real.
Yeah.
You know? Is there something actually like scientific to that idea that, you know, laughter is something that is healing? Is that something you take very seriously?
It is funny, when I was in med school, I actually looked up in, I was at a med school library looking up, like, you know, is there some sort of medical connection to laughter and just health? And the answer is no. But my point is,
it's fiber and cardio.
It's more of a psychology, you know, than it is, I think, physiologically. So, and if you're looking from a psychology or a psychiatric standpoint, yeah, you could talk about neurotransmitters, you can talk about serotonin reuptake inhibitors, but wherever you are in your life, whether, you know, I'm blessed right here talking to you, or if I was, you know, if the Hangover had never happened and I was just doing, you know, just stand up right now, you know, the neurotransmitter level would probably be at the same level, you know. No matter where you land, you know, try to keep that level up. You know, if you do that, I think that is important. And it's funny. I think Tran and I, we've been talking about that the other day. It's just we're watching, I think, a Marvel movie, and she was just like, just out of the blue, it was like, you know, this is the nicest timeline. You know, or we're watching, like, it might have been a Community episode where they're talking about the darkest timeline, but it was like, oh, this is the nicest time. You know, this is the ideal timeline.
She's a saint, man. How'd you convince her?
A lot of luck, a lot of begging. Despite all this praise, she will never appear on camera on this show, though.
I mean, Tran, open invitation to come in. If you
want to come in, Tran?
Tran, so when you ate the wing of death on Hot Ones behind the scenes, did you handle it better than he did? I've been meaning to ask her the question about Hot Ones.
For sure. Ken's a baby. Yeah.
Is this show? Is this the Tran Ho show? I mean, I thought. Is this Last Meals with Tran Ho? No. Look at the marquee. It's a hot dog fighting a sandwich. That's Ken Jeong material.
We're actually going to A/B test.
Yeah. Here we are.
It's real. You're so welcome.
All right.
You guys can take this whole cake home.
Oh, wow. Wow. To the editor. This is the bookmark.
What do you think happens when you die?
I tend to take the Zen approach of death is a part of life.
Yeah.
I really do. And I don't know exactly what happens when you die, but I know what's happening while I live. You just got to live your life to the fullest. And if you do that, does it really matter if you know what happens after you die?
Ken, you ready to get to the lightning round?
Yes.
Who's the one person, dead or alive, you'd want to share your actual last meal with?
My wife, Tran.
What song do you want to be played at your funeral?
Creep by Radiohead.
Name one medicine that's worse than laughter.
Oh, temazepam.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a sleeping pill that is a very long latency period that you can get quite hungover with. So.
Yeah, that's generally for the shorter
Temazepam.
latency period. Who's your dream eulogizer at your funeral?
I would have to say Joel McHale.
You do a great job. Who's been the most shocking Masked Singer reveal?
A dear friend, Margaret Cho. All the clues were designed for me to figure out. I'm from the Bay Area. She could sing. She knows Ken. Like all these things. Like literally, when she takes off her mask, she usually when you're kind of happy or like a joy, like oh, and she just she like looks at me. I can't believe you didn't figure me out.
What's your all-time Duke starting five?
Great question.
Thank you.
Okay, Christian Leitner, Grant Hill. But see, I can't name everybody from the 92 team. Okay, shout out to JJ Redick.
Putting Zion pre-shoe.
Okay, I'm going to qualify myself just saying as an old Duke.
Pre-millennium.
Pre-millennium, possibly. So I would say Christian Laettner, Grant Hill, J.J. Redick. I would say Elton Brand. You know, I'm talking about, people are going to hate me for, it's going to have to be a three-way tie between Bobby Hurley, Jay Williams, and Shane Battier. I just had to. Go Duke.
We had to give you this parting gift. It's a new joke notebook with Christian Laettner on it.
Yes!
Big fan of your work in the documentary, because I also hate Christian Laettner and almost every single Duke player. I cannot even stand it.
We'll take it.
I feel a little bit sick looking at this image right now.
We'll allow it.
This is a question from Superfan Howard. Was Senior Cheng the ass crack bandit?
The Ass Crack Bandit was one of my favorite episodes. It was shot as an homage to David Fincher's Seven, someone at Greendale Community College that would terrorize students. Anytime you'd bend over to pick up something, they would put like a quarter down their ass crack. And it became kind of legend as to who the Ass Crack Bandit was. If you watch the series finale of Community, there is a possible reveal of Alison Brie's character, Annie, possibly being the Ass Crack Bandit because she kept saying over and over again, we never found out who the Ass Crack Bandit was, and we'll never know, guess we'll never know. And I think Chang is too stupid and dumb to be an Ass Crack Bandit.
Finally, Ken, are you happy?
Yes.
Seem very happy.
Well, now I am.
He kind of looks like Joel McHale. Ken, if you want to deliver your last words to that camera right there.
Toodaloo, motherfucker!
Goddamn right! Those were his last words. Ken, you are the absolute man. Everyone check out 99 to Beat on Fox. It's the family show. They don't say the F word. Good Mythical Evening is blasting off on October 23rd at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. So get your tickets now at goodmythicalevening.com.
The world is in danger. An asteroid is heading directly towards us. And there's only one chance of hope. These guys.
Don't worry, Earth. We got you. Oh, I got yours. I got your helmet.
How did that happen?
I don't know.
Huh.
No, you don't have to put it on me.
I want to put it on you.
No,
put mine on me.
Well, just hand it to me.
Yeah.
You don't have to put it on me. Just hand it to me.
Well, now I can't see you. But just here. Is that it? Is that your head? Shouldn't these things have visors on them? We need that, right?